Hi, and welcome to the fourth instalment of the hybrid drum lessons for Rhythm Magazine. So today we're going to talk about threshold and sensitivity. So thus far we've essentially just plugged things in and gone with the flow. We haven't really delved into menus and tweaked, which you guys may have done at home, but I'm just going to run through a few of the kind of really core settings to help us personalize and customize the pads and triggers that we've been using for our own playing styles. First off, what are they? So sensitivity, hopefully a fairly obvious one. It's how sensitive is the actual drum or rather the trigger that we're using. So some of you guys might be quite light players, in which case you'd want the sensitivity to be set higher, whereas much heavier players might want to duck that sensitivity down a little bit, and you'll just find you get a good spread of dynamics. For instance, if we go into the trigger settings on our module, and we can find here it says threshold and sensitivity. So if I just pop we'll start with sensitivity. So if I just take it right down to the minimum value, which is 1, then it should be, well, not at all sensitive. So you can see hitting it, and it's registering a hit, but a really low level. So I have to absolutely belt that to even get it to register less than halfway. So what I can do is up it. So I'll tell you what, let's start with 2. So, and we'll just see the difference as I cycle through the values. So now I've ended up at 9 there, and then my maximum velocity is hitting the maximum velocity on the module, which is 127. So then a quieter hit, you can see, is registering down at 28 out of 127. And then it climbs as I play harder. So we can do that for the bass drum, of course, and any of the pads or triggers that we're using. So I just use the snare drum as an example. Onto threshold then, what that does is actually sets the level at which it actually recognizes your hit on the snare drum, for instance. So with the threshold set to 0, it means no matter, I can hit it really quietly and it will recognize it. So, which is really useful for, ghost notes. With the tambourine that we overlaid in the previous lesson, it meant even when we played quieter notes, you could still hear the tambourine. And this is where we can use this to our advantage, which we're going to do for this session. So, as I up the threshold, what you'll notice is that as I hit it at the same velocity, the higher the number goes, I'll eventually hit a point where it just cuts off and it can't hear that signal anymore. So I'll start at a lower velocity actually. So there, it stopped recognizing it now. So it's gone up to 20, 25. It won't recognize that hit until I really belt it. So, and then you can up that as well. On this module, it goes all the way up to 31. So you can see it takes quite a hit to register that note. So for these examples, we're going to look at some sort of drum and bass breakbeat inspired examples. And using a drum and bass snare sample means that as we play ghost notes, we won't trigger the electronic snare sample until we really hit it hard for our backbeat on beats 2 and 4. Okay. In addition then to the drum and bass style snare that I've put on our snare trigger, I've also put a house kick on the kick trigger and then a sub drop on the PD8 pad that we're using. So exercise 1 is a 2-bar example which starts using the left hand on the crash cymbal and the right hand on the sub drop pad simultaneously. So let's have a listen to that one nice and slowly. So here's exercise 1 up to speed. As before, keep the ghost notes as quiet as you can, because as you speed up, I can't express how much of a difference it's going to make to just the finesse in your groove, okay? There are also some double bass drum notes to watch out for. So again, start slowly and just build it up in your own pace. Another 2-bar groove for exercise 2 then. This one a little bit more of a breakbeat style, so watch out for that snare drum on beat 3 in the first bar as well. Let's check it out really slowly. And then the same example up to speed. The final groove then, another 2-bar exercise, is heavily lifted, let's say, from the amen break. It's basically a condensed version of that. So same things to watch out for, the doubles on the bass drum, keeping the ghost notes whisper quiet, and of course, focusing, not forgetting that you can change that threshold. If you find that when you play the ghost notes you're triggering it, then just up that threshold a little bit, okay? And also concentrate on keeping them nice and quiet. So let's hear that final exercise at a slow tempo. And finally, up to speed. I hope you've enjoyed those grooves. Some of them are pretty tricky, to say the least, so keep them nice and slow. I know I say that a lot, but it makes life a lot easier. And also, of course, you don't have to use those grooves if you don't want to. If you feel they're a little bit too advanced, don't forget the focus here is on using the technology and actually creating a hybrid kit, so feel free to just explore for yourself. In terms of the sensitivity and the threshold settings, we've talked through how to use them. Find out how to use them in your own module, whether that means delving into the instruction manual, then fine, go for it. And just feel your way through it and tweak until it feels right for you. So thanks very much once again. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson and I look forward to seeing you in the next installment.